So this is lesson 2 in chapter 4. It's on relations. We've already talked about we're going to be doing stuff on quadrants, relations, domain and range, and coordinates. So this is a very important thing right here, this table on this first page. So what is the very center of a graph called? Starts with an O. Origin, good. It's the origin. And then we'll do the quadrants. So it goes in the counterclockwise direction, starting with the one where both of them are positive. So it's going to be quadrant 1, yep, in a Roman numeral. Quadrant 2 in Roman numeral. 3. And do you remember how to write 4 in Roman numerals?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, so it's IV, right? Good. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then here's an example of a point. It's just saying any point, and it always goes X, then Y, which is alphabetical order, right? And then what's the horizontal one called? Line. What is this main horizontal line called?
Bar.
It's called the something axis.
The x-axis.
X-axis. So X-axis. And then what's the vertical one called? Y-axis. So if we needed to graph a point, we first start by doing left or right, and then up or down. So identify the x-coordinate. What is the x-coordinate?
-5.
Yeah, it is -5. Good. All right, so how do maps use the coordinate plane for locating towns? What are those words called? Where they, like, if you were to talk about the location, like the GPS location, what is that called? The something tude and the something else tude. Yeah, we have the latitude and longitude. Welcome. Good, latitude and longitude. Okay, awesome. Next page. So we're talking about graphing now. These are called ordered pairs. What are they called? Because they're a pair of numbers and they're in a specific order. So the domain, so I want you to put over the domain, these are the x's. So I put an x above the word domain. And then the range are the y's. Put a y above the range. Oh, I thought I was, no I am, okay. So the domain are all of the x's, the range are all of the y's. So here's another, you can have them in ordered pairs.
Hey, if you want to make the pictures of people in this book look creepy and color in their lives all black.
Okay. So then you can put it in a table and then you can graph them. Like the point -2, 3, we go from the origin, we go back 2 and up 3. This one would go right 1, up 2, over 0, down 1, over 3, up 1. So those are graphing points. Rate yourself on how well you feel about all this stuff before. Like if you know it, turn to the person next to you and say, I already know this. Do you guys know this? Do you recognize this stuff? Yeah? Okay. It's confusing? Okay.
Yeah, I never liked.
You've never liked graphing?
No, it's just like how I always get confused with the X's and the Y's.
Ah.
And I get mixed up with everything.
So she gets confused between the X's and the Y's. So let me help you with that. So alphabetical order, like when you're doing the alphabet, X comes before Y. So with our letter, like with these two, the X comes before the Y. So that'll help. Do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
On the graph, it's like sometimes I get the lines mixed up and where they go. Like
Yeah.
on this quadrant.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully it won't be so bad, because really all you're having to do, I don't know how much you're going to have to do with the quadrants. Oh, yeah, it doesn't really say much of it on this page anyway. Okay, so what we have to know, so as a relation is any set of ordered pairs. The relations can be represented as a table and as a graph, and the domain of the relation is the x-coordinates, the range is the y. So domain, I want you to put x-coordinates, and underneath x-coordinates, I want you to put domain. And then underneath where it says y-coordinates, I want you to put range. I know it's already there, but it helps to write it in your own handwriting. X-coordinates, domain. In fact, if you want to put like an arrow. Y coordinates range. And then again, it goes in alphabetical order. D comes before R, so if you're asking for the domain, it's the first ones, and the range is going to be the second ones. Alphabetical order helps a lot. Okay, so express this relation as a table and as a graph. So if you have this relation, these points, then all of the first ones are going to go in the x's, all of the second ones are going to go in the y's. And then you're supposed to graph it, so then you just graph those points. So you would go back 2 and up 6, which their points are, oh no, over 2, up 6, back 4, down 8, back 3, which has to be in between, up 6, and over 0, down 4. So the domain are all of the x's, so put the x underneath there. The range is all the y's, put the y underneath there.
Domain and range, the domain is just all the x coordinates.
Domain is all the x coordinates. Range. So put what you guys write on your paper so you can, we know that you took notes on this. Put an x underneath the domain parts and a y underneath the range parts. We are on page 278. Okay. All right, so let's try this on your own. Express this, and the nice thing is they already gave you the table, they already gave you the graph, so you're supposed to express this relation as a table and as a graph, Go.
Put those things in the table.
Yep, so put those things in the table and then graph those things. Ready to check then? Yeah, you ready to check? Okay, so the x's should be -5, 3, 6, and 1. Did you get that? Yes? And then the y's were 2, -1, 2, and 7. And then double check. 5 went with 2, 3 went with -1, 6 went with 2, and 1 went with 7. Then we graph these. So -5, 2 means we would go back 5. So -5 is right there. And then up 2. Then over 3, down 1. It's going to be right there on top of my 3. Over 6, up 2. And over 1 and up 7. Okay, rate yourself on how good you feel about being able to do these things. If I were to give you 5 more of these, how many do you think you're going to get right? Show me how, if I gave you 5, I mean, I don't want to because that's a lot. But if I gave you 5 more of those, how many do you think you would get right? It's pretty good, pretty good. Okay. Next part. So the next thing they do is they give you a story. So it costs $3 per hour to park at the Wildwood Amusement Park. So make a table of the ordered pairs, and then they tell you what the x coordinates are supposed to be, so they put them down here. And if it was $3 per hour, we just times by 3. So I'm just going to show in here we times by 3 to get that for all of them. And then they graphed them. What kind of graph does this look like? It's a dot plot, but it's also a line, right? I mean, yeah, makes a line, right? Okay, so you're basically going to do the same thing, but now we have a different problem. So a movie rental store charges $3.95 per movie rental. So what do you think is so we're supposed to make a table, and the table's over here. So what does it say we're supposed to use for the x's?
Movies.
So do you want me to let you do this on your own, or do you want me to do it with you?
Let's do it on our own.
Okay, try it on your own. So go ahead and look at all the information, make a table.
Hey, remember when Blockbuster was still a thing?
X
back
goes
in
this
the
way.
movie rental place?
What was that?
Blockbuster rental place, remember that?
Yep. So I'm gonna do this one to check. So ready to check, we go,
Wait, hold on, I knocked my pencil case down.
okay, I'm just gonna do those parts that you've already done, I think, okay? So I would rather start with the table by going 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I need to figure out what to fill in right here, because those I think are the easiest parts. So a movie rental store charges $3.95 per movie rental, and you'll notice that this is bigger. So this is probably the cost in dollars. And then this way is the number of movies. And so since it's $3.95 per movie rental, I know that this first one's just going to be $3.95. And then for the next one, you can get out your calculator and you do 2.
Man, do you have any graph paper for me?
I do.
Yeah, I think this will be useful for this lesson.
And the actual nice thing with this lesson is any graphs that you have to do, they already have little pieces of graph paper like on the lesson.
Yeah, still, but I think it'll help.
You want it? Okay. So then we did 2 times by $3.95. Whoa. And then you get $7.90. And then we're going to do 3 times by $3.95 and get $11.85. And then 4 times $3.95 and get $15.80. And then we just have to graph those. Is this what you got so far?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if this is what you had so far. Yes, you guys are awesome. Okay, so 1 and then $3.95, but that's 4. It's really close to 4. So I'm just going to put it right there. And then 2 and $7.90 is really close to 8. And then 3 and $11.85 is not as close, but fairly close to 12. And then 4 goes with $15.80, which is pretty dang close to 16. Okay, did you get that? Yeah.
Well, I was like on the got it problems. What does it mean by express the domain and range?
So you just list what the domain is and you list what the range is.
I don't understand like exactly what domain is.
So the domain are the numbers that you put in. Like these numbers right here, this is the domain.
Okay.
It's also like just talking about how far left or right you have to go to make the graph.
So,
And then these numbers are called the range.
so you'd state that the domain numbers would be like
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, and 3, and 4.
Yeah, let's see, where did they do that? So right here, here is where they stated the domain and range. This is how you do it.
Oh.
Domain, range. Oh, we forgot the stating the domain and range on the got it, right here. So the domain, right here, so I want you guys to come back up to this one, domain, and then range. The domain, so we start with that squiggly thing, and then we're just going to list the x's with commas in between. So -5. Are we supposed to put them in order? We are. If to do the domain, we're supposed to put them in order from least to greatest. Would you guys agree that -5 is the least one?
Yeah.
What one's next? 1, then
3 and 6.
then 6. And then the range, what's the least of the ranges?
1.
-1, right?
Oh, it's
Then
2.
2,
then 2.
and 2 repeated, so we don't need to repeat it again. And then
7.
7. Yes. Got it? So this is how you
My
state.
brother once claimed that that we're the byproducts of cheese making. Not sure if that's relevant, but I think it's hilarious. Is that
Does
what-
sound pretty funny.
ridiculous claim?
Okay, so domain and range. So that's how you state the domain and range. Okay, everything else is just guided practice. Do you want to practice more or do you want to just get on the homework?
Homework.
Okay. So your homework is to do, let's do, oh, you might actually need a graph for that one. So we'll say 1 through 5. And then 7. 9. And then we'll say 14 through 23. They're very short problems. 14 through 23. Okay, that's the end.